folks, I need you to turn to page 6. Now we have what we call a readiness assessment tool, and it gives you an opportunity to determine whether or not you're ready to become a supervisor. Most of you know when you become a supervisor in state service, you have opportunities for interviews, opportunities for promotions, but it doesn't necessarily tell you whether you are ready, and you have to know that. So this tool is an opportunity for you to take advantage of what we hope will be an indicator for you as to, I need to now know whether I can go ahead and do this job. And I would suggest to you that the easiest thing to do here, I would suggest to you that the easiest thing for you to do would be to go ahead and take the exam. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and do it. Okay? Okay, folks, what I'd like to have you do now is turn to page 7 in your workbooks. Where we are going with this is to now talk about the various reasons for becoming a supervisor. I think most of you know that it's very, very personal in terms of why you might want to become a supervisor. I'd like to hear from you in terms of your reasons. That's why you're here in this class. So Howard, you seem like the kind of a person who has a real reason for being a supervisor. I've talked to you a little bit before class, so would you mind just sharing with the rest of the group why you want to be a supervisor?
I feel I've got some experience and maybe I could pass it on to some other people if I were in a supervisor position.
Good, good. And knowing that you have this experience, do you think that you could share it even if you weren't a supervisor?
Well, I could, but I'd rather do it as a supervisor.
Okay, excellent, outstanding. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think about it in terms of career growth. So I think in terms of career growth, both personally and professionally, that's one of the drivers for me. Similar to what Howard said, I think I do have a lot of knowledge to share, but I want to kind of expand that outside of just the role I'm in and be able to work with a team and get work done through others.
Fantastic, makes a lot of sense.
The promotion wouldn't be bad either from maybe a status and a monetary perspective too.
So do you think maybe that you're going to make a lot more money as a supervisor, Melissa?
Well, I don't know if I could say a lot more, but I think the next pay grade up at least is more than my current pay grade.
Melissa, you talked about making more money, and let me just add to that, that one of the things I think you're going to find is that there's this issue called compaction between supervisors and their subordinates, and what you may learn is that you may not make as much money as your subordinates. They may make more than you, but in the long term you will because of retirement and those kinds of things. So there are some benefits to it, no doubt about it. It's just that currently you probably would be working a lot more hours and probably be paid a lot less hourly.
Oh, I didn't think about
Yeah, that's one of the things that does tend to happen, and I think for some people it's a surprise, but we're going to talk about how to avoid those kinds of surprises by knowing ahead of time. So this is another reason why it's good to take a class like this to learn the kinds of things you're going to get involved in as a supervisor. Okay?
Great.
All right, thank you. Okay, we've had the discussion on core competencies. I think you now have a good definition of what a core competency is. So what I'd like to do, Teresa, if you wouldn't mind starting off the discussion and talk to us about what you consider to be a core competency for a supervisor in state government, please.
Well, one of the most important things, I think, is being able to handle any conflict between your staff.
Conflict. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear more, please.
Well, I hate to get petty, but there's been so many, every once in a while there's who gets to do whatever first.
Yeah.
And while it may not matter, you need to be able to make sure that both people still feel like they're contributing and just resolve that conflict at a low level.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say, it sounds like subordinate staff members might bring the conflict to your attention as a supervisor, so
Correct.
you need to be ready to handle that?
In one example, yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
And it sounded petty as opposed
But
to
it can
professional.
be,
Okay.
it can be, but it can also be very, very important. I mean, it's just an example.
Okay.
So it could be a process that needs to be improved.
I
So
understand.
something that's maybe even more important, and you'll need to mediate between all the parties involved.
Makes sense, makes sense. So let me ask you this. If you were a supervisor again and you had two subordinate staff members who came to you with a squabble, and you were going to do what would be some of the things you'd want to know about that petty conflict, if you will, between the two subordinates?
Well, definitely each side's story,
Okay.
and maybe separately, and then bring them together and hear how that interplays, and depending on the level of the squabble, quote unquote, to see if maybe others have heard it as well, and then try to find a nice middle ground for that conflict.
That makes
Try
sense.
to make it so that everyone still functions in the workplace.
I'd almost declare you ready.
Yeah, okay.
That's very good. Very good. Thank you. Kimberly, let's ask you, do you have a core competency that makes sense for you in terms of what a supervisor might be faced with?
Written communication.
Okay.
I believe that any type of documents that are presented to us should have correct grammar, vocabulary, sentence structure, spelling, and punctuation.
Okay. And if you're saying written communication for the supervisor, then what is it that the supervisor must know in terms of written communication? What kinds of skills or knowledge or ability do you think they should have to be able
Basic
to?
word processing and basic grammar skills, and also presentation as well. If you're looking at a document and everything is just out of order, it's going to confuse the employee, and they're going to ask questions, and they don't know what's going on.
So what I'm hearing you say is a supervisor needs to be a good listener as well.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of what they're going to have to do is listen to the information that's coming from the subordinates regarding the written communication.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it. To talk to you next is a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I think most supervisors tend to forget the roles they have to play. So this segment really talks about roles of supervisors, and there are many. One role that I really would encourage you to take a look at is the role of a coach. Just like in a sporting event where you have coaches who tend to help players become better, a supervisor does the same thing. One of the things that a supervisor must do is they must be willing and able to get outside themselves and worry about their team, so to speak, in terms of coaching their team to be better team members and also to be better players. So just like in a softball, baseball, football team, your coach, you, the supervisor, is responsible for getting out there and really helping your players, if you will, your team members be better. I would also encourage you to take a look at the mentoring aspect of this whole thing. One of the things that you have to be willing to do is pay it forward. Just like you've been mentored throughout your career, you're going to start mentoring other people as well. And one of the things I would encourage you to do is think about how important it is for you to help people surpass you, if you will, in their careers. One of the first things I did when I started my career was I went to my boss and I said, I want your job. I'm going to take your job one of these days. Now, I was going to wait till he retired, obviously, but what I wanted to tell him was I wanted somebody to mentor me, to help me to become a better him in terms of the role that he played. And he became my mentor. And I would suggest to you that, again, it's extremely important for you to take on that role, to embrace the role of mentor, the role of coach, so that you can be a better supervisor. Okay, we're at the point now where we're going to try and summarize what we've learned today, and what I'd like to do is start off by asking Teresa, if you wouldn't mind. We've talked a lot about activities in terms of what a supervisor would do on a monthly basis or a daily basis. So would you mind giving us some of the activities that you recall for a supervisor on a daily basis, if you will?
One is probably job training for your staff.
Okay. Okay.
Another one could be, probably not daily, but every once in a while, hiring interviews.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. I like that. Let's move on. Kimberly, in the essence of time, we ask you, why don't you look at the benefits? Let's talk about the benefits that a supervisor would gain, or you, I should say, as a new person who wants to be a supervisor. What kind of benefits would you gain from becoming a supervisor?
It will definitely give me a different perspective on how employees see things rather than just me. So.
Okay. And then when you say just you, you're talking about from your perspective now as a rank and file employee where you're now going on to become a supervisor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Howard, let's ask you. We've looked at some of the different roles and responsibilities. Could you kind of elaborate a little bit more on some of the roles that a
I
supervisor
like
has?
what I heard from you about being a coach and a mentor. I thought that was really interesting, and I think I could see myself as coaching and mentoring people.
Excellent, excellent. And you realize that may be a large part of your day, though, right?
I hope so, because I think I would enjoy it.
Excellent, and I think you would too. Good, thank you very much. Melissa, let's ask you. We're looking at some of the motivations, if you will, for supervisors. I think we talked a little bit about, why you might want to become a supervisor. So in terms of your motivations, would you mind sharing those with us in terms of what would motivate you to become a supervisor based on what you've heard today?
Sure. One of my big takeaways is tapping into really my desire to help further my organization. We talked a little bit about how we all have knowledge and technical skills. I think I can use those to contribute in a role as a supervisor paired with the coaching and the mentoring to really bring forth and help others, help my team members. I liked how you said, you want to kind of pass the baton, work yourself out of a job.
That's right.
Almost.
That's right.
And it's that coach and that mentor concept, but really tapping into how I can help the organization. And then along the way, my career development, because I want to continue to grow and develop and move up in the organization.
No doubt you will. That's very, very good. I think you all got They got it nailed in terms of what you understood the class to be about, understood what the roles are for a supervisor, and hopefully based on what you've learned today, you're now going to be able to go out there and make what I would call an informed decision as to whether or not becoming a supervisor is for you or not. So thank you all very much. It's been a great class and I've enjoyed having you here. Thank you.